I have consistently believed that my actions were aligned with the correct approach. Put in the effort, manage your finances wisely, and uphold your responsibilities. That is the expected behavior of adults, correct? For the past decade, I have consistently reassured myself of this while dedicating 60-hour weeks to my role at the accounting firm. I am Hannah Mitchell, 30 years old, currently single, and I recently became a proud homeowner just 2 weeks ago. Upon the passing of my grandmother, I received a modest inheritance. While it may not be life-altering, it certainly makes a notable impact on the expenses associated with purchasing a home. I have diligently saved since my first job at 22, residing in a small studio apartment, preparing my own meals, and declining vacations that my friends enjoyed without hesitation. While others were sharing Instagram photos from Bali or indulging in designer fashion, I dedicated my time to working overtime and diligently saving every extra dollar. After reaching my financial goal of $300,000, I confidently purchased my dream apartment in full. No mortgage, no debt. Only mine. It is a 2-bedroom residence located approximately 10 minutes from my office in a neighborhood that is steadily improving, though it may not be considered upscale. The previous owners had a rather unrefined choice in wallpaper, and the kitchen requires modernization, but I am unfazed by it. I chose to undertake the renovations personally to reduce costs. YouTube tutorials have transformed into my preferred evening pastime. I was in the process of removing that unsightly floral wallpaper when my phone rang. It was my mother. "Hannah, I would like you to come over next Saturday for a family meeting," she said, her voice adopting that insincere casual tone she employs when she has ulterior motives. During the family meeting, I inquired about the situation, taking a moment away from my renovation tasks. "We have a surprise planned, so please ensure your arrival by 4 o'clock. Please bring a chocolate cake from the bakery located near your new residence." "Mom, can you please clarify what this is about? I'm feeling quite suspicious." "A small family gathering. Your sister will be attending alongside Kevin, and I have also extended invitations to your aunts, uncles, and cousins." That certainly caught my attention. The entire extended family? For a small gathering? Me. "It's confidential, Hannah, a pleasant revelation. Simply be present, understood?" Then she ended the call. I nonchalantly returned to my wallpaper. Any issues my mom was dealing with would need to be put on hold. I had a residence to repair. Lily, my sister, is currently 27 years old, making her 3 years my junior. She has been in a relationship with Kevin for approximately 4 years. They reside in a leased apartment in the downtown area. Lily has consistently navigated challenges with greater ease than I have. She held the role of cheerleader in high school, whereas I participated in the debate team. She decided to leave college to explore her personal journey while I diligently pursued my accounting degree. Remarkably, our parents always appeared to be unfazed. During my upbringing, it was consistently focused on Lily in every aspect. During our childhood, when we both had dance recitals scheduled for the same weekend, it's quite clear which one my parents chose to attend. Upon our graduation, my parents organized an extravagant celebration for Lily's high school completion, whereas my college graduation was marked by a dinner at Olive Garden. I recall my 16th birthday vividly when I received a used bike, while the following year, Lily was gifted a car for her own 16th birthday. When I inquired with my parents about the reason, they explained that Lily requires additional assistance in attending her social activities. It seems my participation in debate tournaments and my volunteer work at the library are not being recognized. However, I have never been inclined to draw attention to myself. I dedicated myself to working diligently, increasing my savings, and demonstrating my ability to be self-sufficient. The week passed swiftly as I diligently focused on my apartment renovations. I successfully removed all the wallpaper and commenced priming the walls in preparation for painting. The satisfaction I experienced while observing my progress made every blister on my hands worthwhile. On Saturday morning, I rose early to complete the painting of the living room prior to visiting my parents' house. I visited the bakery as instructed and acquired a chocolate cake adorned with buttercream frosting, which happens to be my mother's favorite. As I made my way to my childhood home, I contemplated the purpose of this family meeting. My parents' residence is a 2-story colonial-style home that was bequeathed to my sister and me by our grandmother upon her passing. We allowed our parents to remain in their home, naturally. I had not considered any alternative approach. The The residence was imbued with a tapestry of childhood memories, encompassing both positive and negative experiences. Upon arriving at the driveway, I observed multiple vehicles already stationed there. I identified my Uncle Steve's truck and Aunt Karen's minivan. Derek's motorcycle was positioned against the garage. This situation undoubtedly involved the entire family. I inhaled deeply, secured the cake box, and proceeded indoors. "Hannah is here," my mother called as I walked through the door. She offered a brief embrace and accepted the cake from my hands. "Excellent timing. We are just preparing to take our seats." I surveyed the living room. Lily and Kevin were seated on the couch, their hands elegantly intertwined, engaging in soft whispers to one another. My father was engaged in conversation with Uncle Steve in the corner. Aunt Karen and my cousins were already making their way to the dining room. "What is happening?" I inquired of Lily as I drew near. She smiled enigmatically. "You will see." That did not alleviate my increasing sense of discomfort. I entered the dining room alongside everyone, where Mom had arranged the table with her finest china, the set reserved exclusively for Thanksgiving and Christmas. This announcement was evidently significant. I took my seat beside Cousin Derek, who appeared equally perplexed as I was. "Are you familiar with the subject matter at hand?" I spoke softly. He shook his head, indicating a lack of understanding. "Your mother has summoned us all for an important announcement." The meal was served, featuring pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans, and the cake I brought was elegantly positioned at the center of the table for dessert. All participants engaged in light conversation, meticulously steering clear of the underlying issue present in the environment. At last, once everyone had served themselves, my mother rose, gently tapping her glass with a spoon. "I would like to express my gratitude to everyone for attending today," she stated with a radiant smile. "We are pleased to announce some exciting news for everyone." Mom positioned herself at the head of the table, her smile radiating with an intensity as she gazed at Lily. "Lily has announced that she is expecting a baby." The room filled with applause and commendations. Lily felt a rush of warmth as Kevin gently placed his arm around her shoulders. "They are getting engaged, and wedding plans will be made shortly," Mom continued. I joined in the applause with the others, feeling a sincere joy for my sister, even amidst our complex relationship. "Congratulations, Lily," I remarked, offering her a smile from across the table. However, Mother had more to say. She shared a glance with Dad and Lily, then faced me with an expression that caused a sinking feeling in my stomach. "That is not all," she stated, her voice piercing through the conversation. "We have an additional announcement to make." The room fell silent. All eyes were on Mom, including mine, filled with anticipation. "As you are all aware, Hannah has recently acquired an apartment," my mother remarked, indicating me with a gesture. The relatives acknowledged the news, with a few of them quietly expressing congratulations that had been absent when I initially shared it 2 weeks prior. "Hannah is 30 years old and single," her mother continued. "Single, without any children or a partner." I sensed a warmth rising to my face. What relevance did my relationship status have to the matter at hand? Lily, in contrast, her mother continued, is preparing to begin a family. She and Kevin require a space that is exclusively theirs, rather than a rental property. My heart started racing as I understood the direction this was taking. I observed Lily and Kevin, who were focused intently on their plates. Mom turned to me, her smile now as cutting as a blade. "Hannah, this is your opportunity to demonstrate the depth of your affection for your sister. Your generosity and kindness are truly commendable. I believe it would be best to consider offering your new apartment to Lily and Kevin." A hush enveloped the dining room. I looked at my mother in astonishment, anticipating the twist to this dreadful joke. However, it did not arrive. "You could always consider renting again," my mom suggested nonchalantly, as though she weren't proposing that I part with my $300,000 apartment. "It is unnecessary to occupy such a large space solely for your own use." I surveyed the table. My father acknowledged my mother's perspective with a nod of agreement. Lily finally met my gaze, a blend of embarrassment and anticipation evident on her face. Aunt Karen contributed, stating that it was a wonderful idea. "Family always comes first," a number of other relatives acknowledged in agreement. This was not a casual proposal, it was a meticulously orchestrated strategy. "I can hardly believe this," I finally managed to articulate. "Certainly, I am," Mother responded, her tone becoming more resolute. "Your sister has a greater need for it than you at this time." I rose gradually, the chair making a sound as it moved across the floor. "To clarify, you are requesting that I transfer my apartment to Lily? The apartment I dedicated years of 60-hour work weeks to acquire. The apartment I recently acquired was funded by an inheritance from my grandmother, along with savings accumulated over 8 years. Are you asking me to simply give it up because Lily is expecting?" "Hannah," my father interjected, his voice carrying a caution that urged me to reconsider, "don't act with selfishness." "Selfish," I chuckled, the sound resonating emptily even to my own ears. "I put in the effort for that apartment, every single penny, without any assistance from others. However, Lily requires," her mother began. "No," I interjected, "that is not acceptable at all. I will not be providing my apartment to Lily. This belongs to me. I have rightfully earned it." Lily broke down in tears, her hand firmly placed against her flat stomach. Kevin looked at me with a piercing gaze, as though I had just committed an unforgivable act. "How can you be so unfeeling?" Mom inquired, her face reddening with indignation. "Your sister, how can you expect me to relinquish everything I've dedicated myself to?" I countered. "Why doesn't Lily engage in work and savings as I have?" The relatives commenced a hushed exchange among themselves. I encountered expressions such as, overly focused on material possessions and consistently being the challenging individual. "You've consistently behaved this way," Mom remarked, "always prioritizing your own needs." "I will not be transferring my apartment to her," I stated decisively, concluding the matter. The events that followed continued to replay in my mind with remarkable clarity. My mother seized the chocolate cake I had brought, the one resting untouched in the center of the table, and threw it at me with unexpected intensity. The impact was direct, with cream and chocolate splattering across my cheeks and cascading down my neck onto my blouse. The room became quiet. I carefully cleared the frosting from my eyes, allowing pieces of cake to drop onto the floor. Dad and Lily appeared neither shocked nor horrified. On the contrary, they appeared satisfied, as though I had finally received what was rightfully mine. Silently, I took my purse and keys and exited, with cake still smeared on my clothes and hair. Behind me, the sounds of shouts started to emerge. That was Mom's voice, expressing her disappointment. "We ought to disown you," my father called after me. Lily expressed her distress, questioning, "How could you do this to me?" I entered my car, my hands trembling to the point where I struggled to turn the key. In an unexpected turn of events, I successfully navigated my way home, with chocolate frosting setting on my skin. I sank into my couch, the vintage pre-owned piece I had acquired from my previous rental, and attempted to comprehend the events that had just unfolded. My phone began to vibrate almost instantly. Messages and calls from my parents and Lily came in rapidly, urging me to reconsider, insisting that I should simply give her the apartment. I find it hard to understand the level of self-interest being displayed at this moment. Following all that we have accomplished on your behalf. Your sister, who is expecting, requires a suitable living arrangement. I powered down my phone and set it aside. What have they ever done for me? Throughout my life, I had always found myself in the shadow of Lily. During our childhood, when it was time for new school clothes, Lily received the brand-name items while I settled for whatever was available on clearance. When we both applied to summer camps, my parents managed to secure funding for Lily's art camp, but informed me that the debate camp I desired was beyond their budget. On Lily's 16th birthday, they organized an extravagant party featuring a skilled DJ. At my place, my mother prepared a cake and extended invitations to 2 family members. And now they anticipated that I would hand over my apartment to her? The singular accomplishment I have attained entirely by myself? I reflected on the house we occupied just an hour prior. The residence of my grandmother, which she bequeathed to Lily and me in equal shares as stipulated in her will. We allowed our parents to reside there as a gesture of goodwill, never seeking anything in exchange. I held a 50% ownership stake in that house, just as Lily did. In that moment, clarity struck, and I understood precisely the course of action I should take. The following morning, I arose with a strategy in mind. I meticulously searched through my filing cabinet until I located the folder marked Grandma's Will. Within the contents was the document that validated my prior understanding. Lily and I held equal shares, each owning 50% of our parents' house. They resided there at our discretion, not by any legal entitlement. I was on the verge of contacting a lawyer when my phone notified me. A notification was received from Facebook. My mother tagged me in a post. With an increasing sense of apprehension, I opened the app and almost dropped my phone upon seeing her message. It is with a heavy heart that I convey this, yet there are moments when family can let you down in the most profound ways. Yesterday, my daughter Hannah declined to assist her pregnant sister Lily during a critical time of need. Despite possessing the resources to assist, Hannah prioritized her own interests over those of her family. As a mother, I find myself in a state of profound sorrow. Kindly keep Hannah in your thoughts, hoping she discovers compassion within her heart. The post received numerous comments, primarily from relatives and family acquaintances. I was present, and Hannah displayed an exceptionally harsh demeanor towards Lily. Certain individuals fail to grasp the true essence of family. Maintaining exclusive use of an apartment while her sister is expecting? Disgraceful. No one brought up the incident where my mother had thrown a cake at my face. No one seemed to question the rationale behind my decision to relinquish the apartment I had diligently earned. I reviewed the comments, each one striking deeply. My mother was engaging with the most aggressive comments, showing her approval and responding to them. She was conducting a campaign aimed at publicly discrediting me. That was the moment a fracture occurred within me. The final bond of family loyalty was severed. I retrieved my phone and contacted the first attorney that appeared in my search for a real estate lawyer in my vicinity. A receptionist at Blackwell Law Office responded. "I require a consultation with a lawyer regarding property rights," I stated, my voice remarkably composed. 2 hours later, I found myself seated opposite Jeremy Blackwell, a discerning gentleman in his 50s, who attentively absorbed my explanation of the circumstances I was facing. "Allow me to clarify," he stated once I had completed. "Your sister and you have come into possession of a house that belonged to your grandmother. You have permitted your parents to reside there without any rental charges. Now, after they insisted you transfer your apartment to your sister and subjected you to public humiliation when you declined, you seek to understand your options concerning the house? Indeed, I have confirmed my stance. While I do not wish to act out of spite, I must acknowledge the lack of respect and consideration I have received from them. I would like to understand my rights." Jeremy examined the will and acknowledged it. "The details are straightforward. Both you and your sister possess an equal share of the property, each holding 50% ownership. At any point, you have the option to request the sale of the house, with the proceeds distributed between you and your sister." I inquired about the procedure. "I will prepare an official notice indicating your intention to sell your share of the property. Your sister has the option to purchase your share at fair market value, or alternatively, the entire property will need to be sold and the proceeds distributed accordingly. Your parents do not have any legal authority regarding this issue." I inhaled deeply and proceeded to take action. In the upcoming days, I dedicated my efforts to the renovations of my apartment. I completed the painting of the living room and proceeded to remove the old carpet. Engaging in physical work allowed me to divert my attention from the complications within my family. I temporarily blocked their numbers to gain the necessary space for clear and focused thinking, free from their ongoing disturbances. 5 days following my meeting with Jeremy, the doorbell chimed. I observed through the peephole to find my parents, Lily and Kevin, positioned in the hallway. I chose not to open the door. "Hannah, we are aware of your presence," my mother commanded. "Please open this door immediately." "We must address this absurd letter," my father stated, his voice resonating powerfully. I maintained my silence, activating the recording function on my phone's voice memo application. "You ungrateful individual," my mother exclaimed. "Following all that we have accomplished on your behalf." Lily exclaimed, "You're attempting to leave your pregnant sister without a home." "This is quite disappointing, even for you," Kevin remarked. I documented each word, every threat, and every insult directed at my door for almost 15 minutes before they ultimately conceded and departed. The following day, I forwarded the recording to Jeremy, who promptly called me. "This constitutes harassment," he stated with conviction. "If needed, we can proceed with filing for a restraining order. However, it is crucial to note that their actions further reinforce our stance. They have unmistakably shown animosity towards you. A week later, Jeremy reached out with an update. The attorney representing your parents has made contact. They are interested in pursuing mediation. The mediation is scheduled for the upcoming Monday at Jeremy's office. I arrived early, wearing my finest attire, a navy blue pantsuit that I typically reserved for important client meetings. Jeremy greeted me with a confident smile. It is important to acknowledge that you possess all the legal rights to proceed with this action. Do not allow them to instill feelings of guilt in you. My parents, Lily and Kevin, arrived accompanied by their legal counsel. My mother looked at me with clear disdain. "Betrayal," she said with hatred as she passed me. The attorney initiated the discussion, presenting the details of the case with clarity. The attorney representing my parents contended that the sale of the house would impose significant hardship on our family. Jeremy responded by providing the documented harassment and social media posts as proof of their conduct towards me. Following nearly 2 hours of discussions, the attorneys engaged in a private consultation before presenting a proposed settlement. The house is to be sold, and the proceeds will be divided equally between Lily and myself, in accordance with our grandmother's will. My mother was overcome with emotion upon hearing this. "Please, Hannah," she pleaded, her voice trembling as she shifted her approach, "we're your family. How could you take this action against us?" I apologize for the situation with the cake. I let my emotions get the better of me. I observed her face mocked by tears, recalling the numerous occasions I had pardoned her behavior towards me, all the moments I had settled for being in Lily's shadow. I reflected on the public disgrace she had engineered, the intimidation at my doorstep, the insistence that I relinquish all that I had strived to achieve. "The house will be sold," I stated calmly. "That's conclusive." Jeremy acknowledged the request and commenced the preparation of the settlement agreement. As we waited, I sensed the intense animosity from my family directed at me. I no longer cared. For the first time in my life, I asserted myself. 2 months went by swiftly, filled with legal documentation and property inspections. The property was sold more quickly than anticipated, as the market was thriving and the location was highly sought after. Following the deduction of closing costs and fees, both Lily and I received slightly more than $175,000 each. During this period, I did not communicate directly with my family. All correspondence was conducted through our legal representatives. I was informed by Jeremy that my parents were extremely upset, yet ultimately unable to prevent the sale. They had resided in a property they did not own for several years, providing only minimal contributions to its maintenance beyond essential care. "What actions will they take next?" I inquired with Jeremy during our concluding meeting. He explained that your sister has chosen to allocate her share as a down payment for a new house. Your parents will be relocating to live with her and Kevin. They have successfully obtained a mortgage for the remaining amount. I acknowledged with a nod, experiencing a complex blend of emotions. A sense of guilt lingered within me, as I had essentially compelled my parents to leave their residence. However, another aspect, the one that recalled the cake incident and the public humiliation, experienced a sense of validation. "What are your plans for your share?" Jeremy inquired. "Investment portfolio," I responded. I had been collaborating with a financial advisor to establish a well-rounded portfolio comprising stocks, bonds, and real estate investment trusts. "That was a wise decision," he remarked with approval. "If there are no further matters to address, I believe we have successfully concluded our business." I extended my hand and expressed my gratitude for all that he has done. Upon exiting his office, a sense of relief washed over me, akin to releasing a burdensome weight I had borne for years, the constant role of being the responsible individual, the one who yielded, the one who made sacrifices. Upon returning to my apartment, I assessed the results of my efforts. The renovation was almost finalized. I replaced the carpet with hardwood floors, painted every room, updated the kitchen with new appliances, and installed modern light fixtures throughout. It appeared completely different from the property I had purchased 3 months prior. It was undeniably my own now, in every aspect. My phone rang. It was a colleague from the office. "Hello, Sarah. I have provided my response." "Hannah, how are you?" She expressed her concern. We had a brief discussion regarding the family drama when I arrived at work with red eyes following the cake incident. "I am." Indeed, I came to the realization that what I stated was accurate. The sale of the house has been completed. The funds are currently in my account. "How is your family doing?" I exhaled, that aspect remains disorganized. I have not engaged in conversation with any of them. I receive information through our shared acquaintances. What types of items are you referring to? Lily's wedding took place last month, featuring an intimate ceremony attended by only close family members. I took a moment to reflect. It was clear that I had not received an invitation. I apologize, Hannah. There is no need for concern. I would not have attended regardless. I truly meant it. She is expected to give birth next week, and it appears to be a boy. Are you truly comfortable with everything that is happening? Are you not able to see your nephew? I reflected on it briefly. He may come to perceive me as the antagonist in a family narrative. They will inform him that his difficult Aunt Hannah refused to grant them her apartment and compelled them to sell their house. They will not acknowledge the way I have been treated throughout my life. Sarah paused, reflecting on the complexities of family dynamics. That's an understatement. I found no amusement in it whatsoever. The reality is, Sarah, I don't believe they ever truly regarded me as part of the family. I was merely valuable. A person to be called upon for sacrifice when necessary. Do you believe reconciliation is possible in the future? Only if they recognize their actions and offer a sincere apology. I anticipated that it would not come to fruition. My parents dedicated their entire lives to favoring Lily. It is unlikely that they would suddenly gain self-awareness in their 60s. After concluding the call, I poured a glass of wine and stepped out onto my modest balcony. The sun descended, transforming the sky into a canvas of orange and pink hues. Half a year ago, the thought of being distanced from my entire family would have left me feeling heartbroken. However, at this moment, I experienced an unusual sense of tranquility. I received a notification on my phone indicating that another mutual friend had sent a message. Lily has welcomed her baby. 7 pounds 6 ounces, all parties are doing well. I gazed at the message, anticipating a reaction, be it sorrow, frustration, or remorse. However, what I experienced was merely a remote recognition, akin to receiving updates about a casual acquaintance instead of my own sister. I was aware that they were all residing together now. Lily, Kevin, the baby, and my parents, in the house they had purchased with Lily's portion of the funds and a 30-year mortgage. They would continue to bear the financial burden well into their retirement years. However, I was unable to muster any sympathy for them. They had made it evident how they perceived me, not in the roles of daughter, sister, or aunt, but rather as a resource to be utilized. A purse, as I had contemplated on that day with cake cascading down my face. As I re-entered my apartment, a serene stillness enveloped the space. Some may perceive it as solitude, yet I regard it as tranquility. The walls I painted myself, the floors I installed with my own hands, every inch of this place symbolized my autonomy and my determination to stand on my own. On my bookshelf rested a small box that held the sole family photos I had preserved, images of my grandmother and me. She consistently treated Lily and me with the same level of respect. It is possible that she observed the dynamics at play, noting my parents' preference for my sister, and sought to address this disparity by ensuring we received equal portions of her estate. "Thank you, Grandma," I said softly, gently placing my hand on the box. I had no inclination to connect with the remainder of my family. The responsibility rested entirely with them, and I had a feeling it would remain that way indefinitely. I have concluded my willingness to make sacrifices for those who are not prepared to reciprocate. I have always believed that family embodies unwavering love and support. I now realize that true family, regardless of blood ties, would never demand that you sacrifice yourself for their comfort. They would never resort to throwing cake in your face when you declined to comply. My phone stayed quiet, devoid of calls from my mother seeking forgiveness, no texts from my father recognizing his favoritism, and no messages from Lily expressing gratitude for the years I spent in her shadow, never voicing a complaint. Everything was in order. I had my apartment, my investments, my career, and friends who genuinely valued my presence. I constructed a life meticulously, piece by piece, investment by investment.